In almost every Calamity playthrough I do, I rely so much more on my equipment than any kind of skill. Whether it's more damage from an emblem, a more defensive set of armour, or better wings for mobility, there's almost always an improvement I can make to overcome whatever challenge I'm facing. But what if I took all that away? No emblems, no armour, no wings, not even a stepping stool. How far can I get in Calamity without a single piece of equipment? My first day on the world is surprisingly normal. I explore some of the surface and instinctively chop down some cactus, before realising I won't get to feel the thorny embrace of cactus armour on my skin in this playthrough, so instead I head back to spawn and build some NPC housing. Since Calamity buffs the player's base movement speed and jump height, early game traversal in this playthrough isn't too bad, so I explore even further to the right and end day 1 by seeking refuge in a cave. Within this cave I find a diamond tree, a vein of 8 topaz, and a little further down, another vein of 7 topaz. Usually, I wouldn't mention such insignificant finds in a video like this, but considering the lack of almost any other possible upgrades, getting enough gems to craft a hook is actually quite a major milestone. The best part is that I don't even have to equip the hook to use it. It just works straight from the inventory. This way, I can keep the player equipment section completely empty, which makes absolutely no difference to the gameplay, but does trick my brain into releasing the feel-good chemicals it so desperately craves. Other than a hook, my main way to get stronger in the early game is to begin collecting potions. So I craft some clay pots and start a very basic herb farm before my stream chat reminds me of the space planetoid, which comes with plenty of planter boxes and herb bags to kickstart the farming grind. While my herbs grow, I scour the caverns for life crystals and any other useful materials I can find. However, with my very limited mobility and non-existent defense, even a cave bat proves too much to handle. While this caving trip may have only netted me 1 life crystal, it did give me enough iron ore to combine with my newly sprouted day blooms to make a 30 stack of iron skin potions. Considering the fact that I'll probably need a few hundred, if not a few thousand attempts against some bosses in this playthrough, I've opted to go against my usual low to no quality of life rule and have installed Fargos for infinite potions. I've gone into the config and have disabled every other feature that can be disabled however, as I wouldn't want to remove too much of the grind. Speaking of grind, the next few hours are spent slowly increasing my health, farming herbs for more potions, crafting a magic storage system, and repeatedly dying in the jungle while looking for a staff of regrowth. By this point, the gem tree I found has generated enough diamonds to upgrade my hook, and my garden has produced enough herbs to craft a 30 stack of gravitation potions, making it very easy to travel to the sulphurous sea and free the angler. Fishing in this run is going to be pretty awful since I won't be able to use any of the armour or accessories specifically designed to make it not awful. For this reason, my next priority potion is sonar, since this will stop me wasting so much bait on useless catches and also happens to be the easiest to make, requiring only coral and water leaf along with the usual bottles of water. One of my early fishing stops is of course the ocean to reel in a reaver shark, giving me the pickaxe power needed to mine hellstone. Since this thing is so slow however, I make a detour to the caverns lab to grab the onyx excavator key for faster mining, before finally making my way to the underworld to tear through some hellstone. While this may not be useful for the armour and accessories it would usually unlock, it does provide a lot of powerful weapon options to choose from. However, before I can make any of those, the arguably much better Blade Crest Oath Sword drops from a demon. With one of my favourite pre-hard mode weapons secured, I finally felt ready to take on the Goblin army. Honestly, I barely felt the difference fighting this event with no armour or accessories. You simply don't need that much defence or mobility provided your damage is high enough, which mine is thanks to the Oath Sword. On the other hand, there's much fewer reasons to fight the goblins in this challenge compared to a normal playthrough, where combining and reforging accessories can be a major power boost. In this one though, all I really gain is the ability to condense components of the cell phone and better reforges on my weapons. This does prevent the goblin stinker from hoovering up all my spare cash however, so that's a nice and somewhat literal silver lining. For now though, it's back to more grinding for potions, completing fishing quests, and then searching for the Shimmer to grab some permanent upgrades. I of course leave a pylon here for easy access, then head to the complete opposite side of the world to find a sentry upgrade in the sulphurous sea. Sentries and minions are going to be a pretty major source of damage in this playthrough. As for my primary weapon, I'll want to prioritise some kind of mobility or utility over damage. Without such a weapon, most boss fights will go something like this. As you can see, my movement is quite slow and I can't really react to the boss's movements while mid-air. An arena would help for sure, as with the right setup I'd be able to move around with my hook much more effectively than I can now. But even then I'd be likely to spend a few dozen attempts against each boss. That settles it then. We need a weapon with some kind of mobility, and I have the perfect one in mind. In fact, this is the weapon that gave me the idea for this run in the first place, as I had so much fun with it in my one block run that I wanted to do a playthrough where it could truly shine. I am of course talking about the Old Lord Claymore, a drop from Bone Serpents that comes with a unique right click attack that charges a powerful dash in the direction of the cursor, allowing me to dash through some enemies without taking contact damage. I'm sure that without this, I'd still have a decent chance of beating most pre-hard mode bosses, but why settle for a decent chance when I can destroy them by simply flinging myself at them with the silly spinny sword?
It's quite an easy fight when you've got the Old Lord Claymore, even with no accessories or armour. Watch me now die. Never mind, maybe don't watch me die.
King Slime and Desert Scourge were stupidly easy with the Claymore, and if not for the Blood Moon I would have gone straight into the Eye of Cthulhu fight as well. Instead I spend the entire night slashing through mobs, then skip to the Brain of Cthulhu the next day. This first fight was pretty much doomed as soon as I had to swap away from my Claymore to put down the Rusty Beacon, which I really should have done before starting. And when I say doomed, what I really mean is that it continued for another minute from that point and ended with the boss on just over 400 health. So with the platform and some arena buffs, I'm almost sure to beat it the next time. The obvious blunder on this attempt was switching to the Bladecrest Oath Sword after getting rid of all the creepers, giving me a short yet horrifying glimpse at how awful this challenge would be without the absolute goat that is the Old Lord Claymore. In fact, by sticking with it, I even managed to get an adrenaline on the next attempt.
I might keep that for the damage reduction. In fact, no, let's just use it. We don't need the damage reduction if we don't get hit. Okay, this is all going much easier than I thought it would. Game too easy. Make game hard.
Despite my plea, game would continue to be easy for the next couple of bosses, with me taking down the Eye of Cthulhu that night in well under a minute.
It's not all known dashes. Old Lord Claymore is OP, I have to say it. Literally using no accessories and no armour right now.
Crabulon puts up a bit more of a fight, and even gets me down to a single digit health.
Hopefully our damage is high enough that we just kill him before he's an issue. Okay, so maybe a slight arena is needed. Maybe I just need to stop ramming straight into him and getting hit. Okay, yeah, turned out it was that.
The perforators give me a bit more trouble, with the hive removing over half my health in the first 3 seconds while I try to charge my dash. After this I regain some footing and manage to take down the first worm, however before I can take down the second one, the third spawns and together they overwhelm me. I learn my lesson from this first fight and dash through the CIST to start my second, gaining some space between myself and the boss. I then take down the first worm easily and try to focus more on damaging the second one over the hive itself.
I mean, if I can dash along the entire length of the worm, it does a whole lot of damage. Look at that. Problem is, if I then get hit, I take a whole lot of damage.
Unfortunately, that damage proves a little too much for my bare skin to handle, and I'm looking at a third attempt.
Okay, let's try and play it really safe this time. Immediately gets hit. Them splitting so early is nice. Splitting later would be better than earlier. Got another double worm instant on our hands. Although one of them's about to go down. Yeah, that's one of the worms defeated. So I think I just focus on the hive now. Or the sister, whatever it's called. Never mind, I'm dead. I don't think we need to make any changes for this to work. I think I just need to try a few more times and it'll happen. Okay, this is going better, I think. We're actually getting the worms down when we're supposed to. Although I don't think it's worth doing the last worm, right? Slightly harder than the last few, but that makes sense. The game is supposed to get harder and you're supposed to get more gear to take them on, and we have not upgraded our gear once.
And despite now having access to both the Perforator's drops and Area Light from the Sky Islands, my upgrades remain sparse.
I guess what we could do is we could go get Area Light. It should be pretty easy to get now. And we could see what the Biome Blade is like, because that's another possibility for movement as a weapon. I love the jungle one because it pulls you to blocks. Oh, does it? Does it act as a hook? I did not know that. Okay, let's try the jungle one. Okay, that's going to be quite hard to use, I think, especially during boss fights. I can store 2 though, so I can keep it as an option, but I think the one I want is Crimson. This is the one where, yeah, you go into enemies like this. It's maybe a harder one to use than the Old Lord Claymore. And then there's also the desert one, I'm pretty sure, right? Maybe there's not the desert one? I thought there was one where you held swords out in front of you and like bounced along the ground. Maybe the wind is pushing you and not letting you attune it. That could be the case, yeah. Yeah. Here it is. I can now run away from things by jumping along the ground.
Other than the Biome Blade, the only thing I really unlocked from the Perforators is the ability to craft Tesla potions. So I head down to the Sunken Sea to gather some pearl shards, take down the giant clam while I'm here, then head back to base to craft the potions. Next up is Queen Bee, so after clearing out a bit of an arena I give her a try. Once again, the Old Lord Claymore gives me quite a lot of mobility and allows me to fight dashes with dashes, avoiding the contact damage that comes with them. It's a little harder to dodge her stingers as the gaps between them are quite small, but overall it's actually going pretty well until one of my minions decides to shoot through some blocks and awaken a second Queen Bee.
Oh, 2 Queen Bees? That's not good. Barely handling one of them. I mean, I say I was barely handling one of them. I did get it to give me adrenaline.
Getting back to the same stage isn't too difficult, but when she starts shooting out spreads of stingers, my lack of any precise mobility really starts to show. The Claymore excels at quick bursts of movement, which works wonders against dashes or getting distance from a boss, but when you need to manoeuvre a little more carefully between many projectiles, it becomes clear that this is not what it was intended for. Eventually I figure out that pausing the boss fights to extend my arena would be a pretty neat idea, and while doing so I find the Tavern Keep.
Oh, Tavern Keep.
So I decide to take a short intermission from my current intermission to fight the Old One's army, which even with no armour or accessories is still pretty easy with the right weapons. Other than the ability to use the Tavern Keep sentries outside of the event, the main benefit of doing this is the War Table, a station buff that grants an extra sentry slot. With the right sentries, this should be quite a contributor to my overall damage output later down the line, but for now I use it to double the effective area of my rusty beacons against Queen Bee. And despite my own pessimism about the attempt, it actually ends up going quite well.
Almost definitely lost this one. Maybe not. I did get the potion off. There we go. Not the worst, by far.
If this playthrough is starting to feel a bit like a boss rush, then it's probably because there's very little I can actually do between bosses. For instance, now that Queen Bee is down, all I can really do is build more housing for the Witch Doctor to move in, buy an imbuing station to craft some flasks, then it's straight into Skeletron. The first attempt here goes about as well as you'd expect. I immediately get hit for a quarter of my health when he spawns, then die soon after taking out the first set of hands.
Okay, that was expected.
The second attempt, however, is much closer. The practice from that first fail made me a lot better at dodging his skull projectiles, and I'm able to get to the next phase where he respawns his hands. In fact, I even managed to take out his second set of hands and charge an adrenaline. Instead of using this though, I decide to charge straight into a projectile because I'm very smart. This does actually raise an interesting dilemma in this challenge about what the best way to use adrenaline is. You see, it's not just a temporary boost to damage. When it's fully charged, you also gain 50 to 65% damage reduction for the next hit. Normally you'd have enough survivability from your equipment to make the damage boost the clear answer, but considering that my defense and damage reduction could be mistaken for rounding errors, taking the hit might actually be the better choice.
Oh, 17 health. That is so unfortunate. It feels silly not to try that again.
It was, in fact, silly to try that again, and I ended the stream on a loss. It was at this point that I remembered about the existence of the Corrupt Sky Island, so at the start of the next stream I headed straight there to collect some blocks for an artificial corruption, then fished for enough ebon koi to craft a stack of 30 wrath potions. These certainly helped my damage on the next 2 Skeletron fights, but thanks to getting stun locked in the head on both attempts, I'm sent back to spawn to reconsider my actions.
Maybe Skeletron's going to be an issue. We did get close last time though, I think we got up to like 17 health. Thing is, my options for getting better gear are quite low. Yep, that'll do it. Ah, that was very, very close. Wait, why are we doing Slime God? It gives the adrenaline upgrade at least. And there's only so many times I can fight Skeletron each night. Okay, I don't think we're going to get anything from Deerclops, right? Because I could technically go take on her. Oh, if I can find the Crimson Effigy. There is a Crimson here, so I'm going to go check that. It does not appear to be here. Yeah, there's more there at the snow pylon. Okay, yes, here it is. Crimson Effigy. 15% increased damage and 10 defense, but I get 10% less health. That is well worth it.
I place down the Crimson Effigy at my Skeletron arena and make some other improvements, only for this to happen on the next attempt.
Oh, double hit in like 0 seconds as well.
I actually don't know what happened here, so maybe someone in the comments can explain. After getting hit, you're supposed to get 40 frames of invincibility before you can be hit again, but that just doesn't seem to have applied in this case. I even went into my editing software and counted out 13 frames in between hits. And it's not even a case of different damage sources having different invincibility groups, since they both came straight from the head. Either way, I then remember about endurance potions, so spend some time fishing in the caverns to make them, by which point it's daytime so I can't fight Skeletron anyway. Instead, I give the Slime God another try and eventually stumble into a very simple and highly effective strategy.
Wait, can I just keep going up? I mean, I don't want them to despawn, but if I just keep going up, will they just keep teleporting into me and then I can dash through them? Because they only deal contact damage while falling, right? And I can dash through them to avoid the contact damage. There's the first set down. Slime God defeated. Okay, so once I use the really cheesy strategy that is just floating in the air, it's actually not that hard. Okay, so I've got the Coral Slime Staff. That might be helpful, better than the Hornet anyway. Zen and Zerg will be helpful at some point, but I think for now, the best thing from that was just the fact that I now take less damage and deal more damage from Adrenaline. What I may do is craft 1 sashimi just for the fight with Skeletron. So we should be taking less damage, especially if we've got Adrenaline, dealing slightly more damage, and be a bit faster as well. Okay, I think this is the point where I don't try and deal damage, I just try and dodge. And then die. It's definitely possible with the setup we've got at the moment. What helped is that I no-hit for the first, like, third of that fight. Okay, that was a reasonably clean fight, to be honest. Obviously could have not got hit for more of it, but it was good enough. Okay, the 100 bones can be instantly used for something, probably. Probably Void Bag's the best bit for the first set. Because now I can go into here, do this.
Now before I get any comments about it, I know that Fargo's makes potions work from the piggy bank, but since that's not a vanilla or calamity feature, I decided early on to avoid it, even if it would have made my life a whole lot easier up to this point. What is a calamity feature, however, is the ability to craft one of the best food buffs in the game from a water bottle, 2 bones, and a single piece of ice, which I somehow hadn't realised until this playthrough. The main upgrades from defeating Skeletron are of course found in the dungeon, where I grab a bewitching table for my final extra minion slot of the playthrough, the mechanic for any wiring I want to do, and an alchemy table to unlock new potions and make old ones cheaper. Other than the extra minion slot, none of this is all that helpful for the next boss, however.
Okay, so technically it's just Deerclops and wall, right? Okay, let's go get some flinks first. It's a very quick way of mining, I guess. Oh wow, yeah, this is a very quick way of mining. Is this new tech? People know about that. Because I can just hold this down. I don't even have to really recharge it. Oh, there's the flinks that I need. Give me your fur, please. And let's give it a go. Okay, so that doesn't go very well. Okay, I need to react faster to that. I never normally fight Deerclops is the thing, so I don't know how to fight him. Or her. I can go through the legs, I know that. Maybe I go through the legs. Okay, I think I've got the rhythm now. Okay, easy. Quite easy once you get the rhythm. Pretty cheesy, not gonna lie. That's how you're supposed to fight it though. You're supposed to just dash back and forth through the legs, I'm pretty sure. I think that's what Calamity intended you to do.
With Deerclops down, there is now only one boss standing between myself and hard mode, the Wall of Flesh itself. This one is going to be a bit of a more unique challenge though, as simply dashing through it with the claymore would result in certain death, so I'll have to get a little more creative.
What's my current plan for WOF? I'm hoping that I'm either fast enough as is with the Onyx Excavator mount, or I'm going to use the Frozen Slime blocks, because I can keep my momentum on those infinitely and just use the Old Lord Claymore to speed up really fast. Okay, let's check some Frozen Slime blocks. Let's just do a test here. Right, so if I went onto this with that, I'm going pretty fast. Probably faster than I would ever need to be going. So it looks like the top speed for this is about 80, which is faster than I would ever need to go. Yeah, speed shouldn't be an issue, it's more going to be maneuverability, I think, to avoid the lasers.
And so I get to work flattening out the Brimstone Crags biome and placing down some frozen slime blocks, then eventually get bored of that and start a side quest for a better minion. The Vile Feeder is supposedly the best minion in pre-hard mode, but due to the fact that I picked a Crimson world, it's quite a bit harder to get than usual. First, I'll have to extend my corruption a bit so that a hive tumor can spawn, then I take down the hive mind itself with minimal difficulty.
Yes, it can spawn. Okay, let's see if this actually goes well at all. This part's probably quite easy, I imagine. It might actually be easier than it usually is. Pretty easy, I must say. And 15 corrupt seeds. Nice.
I take the corrupt seeds dropped by the hive mind and place them down on some dirt, as this is the only way to get corrupt grass in pre-hard mode on a Crimson world, which I need for the vile mushrooms that spawn on top of it. While these grow, I go back to building my Wall of Flesh arena and return to harvest them later. I don't quite get enough vile mushrooms, so I turn the ones I do have into vile powder, throw that on some regular mushrooms to get more vile mushrooms, then turn those vile mushrooms into vile powder to craft the Eater of Worlds summon.
Okay, let's do that in the morning. Do I not take damage from the actual body unless it's moving? Because if so, that's crazy. Okay, messy, but got the job done. Got our Vile Feeder. And this is definitely better than the Herring Staff. Vile Feeder is better single target DPS than like half of early hard mode minions for some reason. I knew it was powerful, but I didn't realize it was that powerful. I thought it was like good for pre-hard mode.
With that, I was pretty much ready to get into some Wall of Flesh attempts. All I had to do was place down some buff stations along my arena, and it was time to get started.
Okay, and we're actually at the end of the bridge, so could give it a go. Don't know what else I've got to lose. Come on, old Lord Claymore. Carry me to victory. Yeah, maybe that just needs to be a bit further.
I place down my remaining frozen slime blocks and give it another couple of tries. The first is cut short thanks to a despair stone getting in my way and removing half my health, and in the second I get comboed in the air by the wall of flesh. At this point I decide to go for more frozen slime blocks to give myself some leeway, and the best way to do that is by farming King Slime. The ice is incredibly easy to gather as well, with the Onyx Excavator and Broken Biome Blade mining it so fast that I'm not even able to collect all the drops. The real pain of expanding my arena isn't in the blocks I need, it's the blocks I don't. Now that I'm at the edge of the Crags biome, I have to spend a lot more time mining out all of the ash, hellstone and ruined houses, along with soaking up all the lava with a sponge to make sure it won't pool at the bottom of my arena. Eventually I get to a point which I think is far enough, and the last improvement I can make is grinding through a couple of blood moons for the blood orbs needed to craft life force potions.
Okay, that was worth it. Us a detour, I think.
With that, I spawn the wall of flesh once again.
Okay, bad start. The inaccuracy does not help, I have to say. Although the rage does help, and the fact that I'm about to get an adrenaline as well. Painful. So we're still 3,000 health off. That's still quite a lot, but the problem is I can't go any further without running into issues with the speed. You just have to farm golf with your elevator. Golf could be the solution, I guess. I'd be able to get up to a higher max speed. I could use the excavator actually. Excavator does give me a higher max speed while not having to use a weapon to maintain it. Let's try that. Oh, this is gonna destroy my bass statues and stuff. Unless I jump over them. I think this might be it. This might be it. There we go. Just needed to use the excavator. And I still had quite a ways to go. Right, and now I can eat the Demon Heart to get an extra accessory slot. How exciting is that? Wow. A whole extra accessory slot. Isn't that great?
Thankfully, the wall also dropped a few items that are actually useful, including some new weapons and the Goat Skull, a very fast mount that can ram through enemies and double jump.
I guess first things first, I want to get something called the Nitro Express Rifle, which is a musket, Essence of Havoc, Essence of Sunlight, and Explosive Powder. So that's very easy to make just now, I think. And with this, we can get recoil, but it's very slow. In fact, I don't know if it's even enough to keep me in the air. Yeah, this isn't actually as good as I thought it would be.
On its own, this is a little disappointing for mobility, but it does allow for very quick acceleration with the right mount, so it'll be a worthwhile option to try later on. For now, my next goal is to get a better minion since it's currently dealing the majority of my damage while I spin around trying not to get hit. The easiest, most decently mid option in early hard mode is the ancient ice chunk dropped by ice claspers in the underground tundra.
And then what I can also do is go get a new sentry. And the new sentry I can get is going to be the spider one. I think I've got a spider nest straight in my elevator. Honestly, whips may be worth it in this run, where I use mobility weapons and then switch to a whip every now and then to get my summons dealing more damage. Okay, I think there's only 24 I need for the Queen Spider Staff. It is. What is that added by? That's got to be added by a mod. Fargo's probably. Never seen that before. Venom Dart Trap is vanilla? Are you sure? I have never seen that before. That's crazy. I obviously don't pay enough attention to things in vanilla. Right. The only other thing I can think of doing is going to get Life Fruit. And then I'm kind of worried that we just have to go into fighting bosses.
I do of course also Shimmer one into an Aegis fruit for the extra 4 defense, although it's not as if it's worth much. The one small upside of defense not mattering is that it also doesn't matter if it gets reduced, making certain alcohols quite appealing. For now, I start by grinding my way to a full stack of Purple Haze, which grants 8% damage and 10 extra iframes after getting hit, but lowers defense by 5%. Unless I'm standing near a Bass statue and my Crimson effigy, this literally isn't even enough to register due to rounding. And even then it's only reduced by 1, so it's basically just a free buff. While farming the materials for Purple Haze, the wizard moved into my hallowed housing, so I bought the Rod of Discord and took a look at his candles. The only ones that really make sense here are Spiteful for the extra damage or Vigorous for the extra regen. Weightless would increase my movement speed, but since I have no wings, the additional flight time would be entirely useless. And Resilient would make my defense more effective in the same way that the little cube of chalk makes me more effective at playing pool. For my other 2 alcohol slots, I use the red wine and baguette combo for a better health potion, along with some rum for extra movement speed and life regen. Contrary to the early hard mode upgrade-a-thon of a normal playthrough, this is really all the boosts I can get outside of the photosynthesis potion, which I kind of dread farming. The only other thing worth covering at this point is the Glorious End. Despite being listed as a weapon and technically dealing damage, attacking enemies with this is the last thing I want to do. When used, the player will quickly fly in the direction of the cursor atop a spinning star. After 6 seconds or upon colliding with an enemy or tile, the star will explode and deal damage to both enemies and the player. If the attack button is released before the 6 seconds is up, the star will instead only deal half damage. Usually by this point in the game, the player has enough defense that they don't have to worry about this self-damage. In this playthrough though, I don't have that luxury, and the Glorious End will remain a situational tool that has as many cons as it has pros. So yeah, my options for mobility are that, the Broken Biome Blade, and the Old Lord Claymore. Claymore is the one I'm probably most comfortable with because I've used it quite a lot so far. This is only really good if I'm grounded, and it was good for the Wall of Flesh fight because I was grounded for the entirety of that, but I don't think it's going to be that useful. And then Glorious End, I don't know. After a little more miscellaneous grinding for things like the Cosmolite and Nimbus Rod, I finally felt ready to take on my first hard mode boss. Obviously this is like no arena, just out of curiosity. Because with the other 2 slimes I could just blow up. I wonder if I can do that with Queen Slime. It would be crazy if I could do this with Queen Slime. Oh my god, I think I might be able to do it with Queen Slime. Surely Queen Slime is not this simple as well. There is of course another entire phase to her. It's not the Slime God strat, it's just the Slime strat. Anytime you've got a fight with a slime boss of some kind in Calamity, just fly up with the Claymore. Of course, we're not in phase 2 yet. Phase 2 could make it impossible. We're about to see. Oh my god, it's actually working. I mean, it's not quite as good as phase 1. But it's working well enough. Okay, you need to not take damage for a few seconds at least. Okay, still taking damage. Oh, come on. Oh, I'm like 3 health. Ah. That was very close. The slime strat works. But I think arena buffs and getting my sentries higher would help.
Okay, when she does hit quite hard, I have to say. And when I hit very softly. Okay, I think we got this. There we go. Not too bad. Got the hook, not the mount. Okay, you're gonna give me what I want. Give me a hallowed key anyway. A gelatinous pillion. That is what I was after. Oh, it's really bad. It's really bad flight time, it looks like. Unless I can use it with the claymore, maybe? Maybe this works. It's just I am moving quite slow, horizontally. Horizontal speed is the issue. I'm not going fast at all here. Yeah, the unicorn or goat, they're kind of interchangeable. Might be better, especially because I can use this to get maximum speed instantly.
With Queen Slime defeated, the next easiest boss would technically be Astrum Aureus, as I could simply outrun him with the goat skull mount on a long enough bridge. This would make the remaining early hard mode bosses significantly easier, as instead of having to learn how to survive their attacks, I could just melt them with some mid hard mode weapons. To keep the challenge a little more interesting, I'm going to avoid tier skipping like this, and instead fight each boss with what little gear I'm intended to have at that point in progression. This means that I now have a choice between Cryogen, the Aquatic Scourge, or any of the mech bosses. Brimstone Elemental is also in this tier, but I can't craft her summon until after the first mech. At first I wanted to take on one of the mechs, but had no idea which one would be easiest, so I decided to give them all a try. Skeletron Prime Phase 1 is not too bad with the Claymore, as I can follow the same U-shape that normally works with wings and a dash. Phase 2 however is much harder, with the homing skulls being a rather large issue without wings. I try the Claymore, which doesn't work at all. I try outrunning them with the Goat Skull and Biome Blade, which works a little better until I have to turn around. And I also try the Glorious End for a few attempts, which allows me to get to Phase 3. However, with the lasers and skulls combined, there's simply too much to dodge for my feeble brain to handle. My first attempt against the Destroyer is so bad that I don't even want to waste time covering it, but the second goes much better. With the Goat Mount and Claymore, I can get a decent amount of mobility and even dash through the Destroyer if I get stuck. The real issue is the probes, as I simply don't deal enough damage to consistently take them out with the Claymore, and switching to another weapon to handle them instantly cripples my mobility. I can outrun the twins in Phase 1 by using the Biome Blade and Goat Skull, but while doing so my damage is very low and turning around at the end of my arena is deadly. One slight improvement to my damage comes from crafting a Pearlwood Bow, which Calamity changes to fire a lingering rainbow projectile much like the Rainbow Gun. The much larger damage boost however comes from switching from the Biome Blade to the Nitro Express Rifle for mobility, as its recoil allows me to fire at the twins while still maintaining a high speed. Turning is still a major issue though, and the only thing I can think of that would fix that is a much larger arena so I have to do it less often. This would actually help with all of the mechs and many of the other bosses that come later, so naturally I put it off and tried to take down Dread Nautilus for the Sanguine Staff instead, which is much easier than expected thanks to the Glorious End.
Did I kill it? I think I killed it. Nice. That was really easy with Glorious End.
This slightly better minion of course isn't enough to turn my tides against the mechs, as my issue was never about dealing damage but avoiding it. I do discover that you can use other weapons while flying with the Glorious End at this point, but actually pulling it off is a little difficult with the 6-second countdown to self-detonation. It was looking like the mechs were going to be quite the roadblock in this playthrough, so at the start of the next stream I decided to change gears and try fighting the Aquatic Scourge instead. Since it's a new day and I'm feeling a little more refreshed, this is also a great time to get started on what will become my main arena for boss fights. This will get expanded and upgraded many times throughout the playthrough, but for now, just going past the edge of the Sulphurous Sea is more than enough for the Scourge.
I think there's a good chance that we do it first time. I fought the Aquatic Scourge a lot when I started playing Calamity, because I used to try and do it in pre-hard mode. So I feel like I'm quite decent at the fight. I should have put down these though, I'm just thinking. Would have helped if I did that at the start of the fight, instead of trying to do it now. If I didn't lose all my health when I was placing down sentries, this may have gone a little bit better. Although I'm still getting a potion off.
Sure enough, the Scourge is much easier than the mechs, and thanks to the Claymore I'm able to take it down first try. The only item I really wanted from the treasure bag is the Deep Sea Staff, but I ended up getting the Submarine Shocker instead. Don't get me wrong, this is an incredibly overpowered weapon, but only if you have the defense to face tank some hits, which I certainly don't. I take on the Scourge again and rather predictably, don't get the drop I wanted. While there however I did get a treasure map, so I figured I'd take a quick detour to fight the pirates for the Black Spot mount. And at a 1 in 4 drop chance, it surely can't take that long to get it.
Still not got it. That's kind of surprising, to be honest. It's not that rare. Using any kind of automation just feels silly when it could just be the next one you do. It's the gambler's fallacy, I guess. But 1 in 4 really isn't that bad to just grind through, even if you have to do like 10. Although when I don't get a pirate ship at all to spawn, that does get me wondering whether it's worth it. Come on, this time. This is the one. Turns out this is not in fact the one. There we go. Only took however many kills we did. Only took that many kills.
In the end, it took 9 pirate invasions over the course of 40 minutes to get the Black Spot, but it's well worth it as this is the first mount I can get with infinite flight, making it a vital addition to my tool belt. Before taking on the Scourge again, there's another couple upgrades I can get. The first of these is the Clinger Staff, so I fight a few Crimson Mimics until I get the life drain, then convert it into one using the recipe added by Calamity. The second requires grinding through the Acid Rain until an Orthocera shell drops, a sentry which should hopefully be a little more consistent than the Queen Spider Staff. At this point, the passive damage from my minions, sentries, Nimbus Clouds, Clinger Staff and Pearlwood Bow is higher than most active weapons currently available, and they absolutely shred through the Aquatic Scourge whenever it's stupid enough to fly straight through it all.
Yes, go through all of my damage dealing things. Take all of the damage. Ooh. Went from very good place in the fight to very bad very quickly.
This doesn't mean it's suddenly a cakewalk, as one bad bit of positioning will quickly turn a good attempt bad.
Ooh. It's my own mistake.
But after another 2 kills I get the Deep Sea Staff I was looking for, and figure that if the strategy worked so well for one worm boss, then it may just work for another.
Oh, that's a lot of probes. Oh my god. Can I just circle around and avoid most of these, or probably not? No. I mean, they drop a lot of hearts as well. Wait, have I got rid of all the probes? Because if so, that's like the fight over, essentially. I mean, not quite, but... Oh, I took a headshot because I was trying to place down that. I think I've done this, like, relatively easily. Yeah. I was fully not expecting that. What? I did a bunch of testing with Destroyer and I couldn't figure out a way of killing him. Damn, that was super easy. I'm curious about trying it again just to see what happened. I thought based on the start of the fight it definitely wasn't going to go well because of all of the probes. But it seems the probes managed to get themselves killed on all this damaging stuff in the middle. And then with the Claymore we can just dash through Destroyer to avoid damage. Okay, yeah, turns out it is just easy with this setup. Interesting. Very interesting.
Defeating the first mech causes Mithril and Orichalcum to spawn in the caverns, and after mining some of it, I craft the Tundra Flame Blossom Staff as another minion option, and the Speed Blaster, an upgrade to the paintball gun.
It has a dash, but its dash is like a 5-second cooldown, so it ends up being pretty bad. Although, that was supposedly me using the dash there, and it didn't do anything. Is the dash broken? Do you have to be moving in that... Oh, you have to be moving in that direction, yeah. What it doesn't work with is mounts, though, I think. I think if I'm mounted, I can't... Yeah. The dash may be mid. I think the dash is quite mid, and I think the damage is also pretty mid. Yeah, Speed Blaster may have some use, but it might be like the Broken Biome Blade, where its use is kind of limited. Especially if I'm going to be using mounts like I was before. I'm curious about just using that same mount strategy with the Black Spot and Claymore against the other two mechs. Okay, so I can avoid those for the most part, if I'm careful. Which I'm not. I'm managing to avoid damage. The problem is I'm also not dealing much. Maybe we try twins with this, just out of curiosity. Okay, twins, I am not fast enough, it seems. I just keep flying diagonally up. And then going to diagonally down. And then get hit by the cursed flames.
The Black Spot clearly wouldn't work against the twins, but with enough practice it just maybe could against Skeletron Prime.
Problem with Skeletron Prime is that even if we get to Phase 3 is basically an entirely new fight, and probably 10 to 15 times harder than the rest of it.
The first phase is consistently doable with the Old Lord Claymore. Then once all the hands go down I can use the Black Spot on its own to circle Prime while dodging his homing skull projectiles. Things start to go downhill once he's able to shoot lasers though, as the skulls continue to home in during the start of the attack, so avoiding both is near impossible. On top of this, the Black Spot increases the player's height to 5 blocks, essentially acting as a 67% increase to the player's hitbox, making it even harder to dodge between the very small gaps left by the many projectiles.
And maybe also just need to get better though. I think that could be the main thing, I just need to get better. And then, yeah.
After many attempts against Skeletron Prime and absolutely no progress to show for it, I eventually bite the bullet and invest some time into improving my arena.
I think maybe it's time to just all the way along. 2,000 will be 5,000 platforms, which is good for a while, I guess. How's the suffering going? Really well, yeah. I'm probably not going to end up using half of these platforms, but good to have. I'd rather have them and not need them than need them and not have them. The annoying part is going to be putting the buff stations on all of this. I think one of the things I'm looking forward to most with 1.4.5 isn't all the new content, it's the fact that Smart Cursor is going to have a wider area. And to be honest, I may use asphalt for the bottom, like replace this bit here with asphalt. In case of investigation, I'm not associated with G-Token. I mean, you're the one called Magic Gonads, so maybe I don't want to be associated with you.
The plan with this new arena is to continue in phase 1 as normal, then once the hands fall I use the goat skull on asphalt to gain some distance between myself and the homing skulls, which works pretty well as by the time they catch up with me, most of them have lost the ability to home.
The problem then is damage. I don't think I'm going to deal enough damage to kill him by the end of night. Unless I shoot behind me while I'm running. This doesn't deal too much damage is the thing. Actually hitting it is kind of difficult. Something homing would be great. My damage isn't bad, and I don't actually have to go as fast as I'm going. It's possible with what we've got. It's just whether or not it's possible for me with what I've got. Oh, they're just so fast. Could take a break from Prime and try Twins. I think Glorious End on its own is possible for Twins. Just big circles. Quite hard to talk during this because I'm also counting to make sure I don't take extra damage with the Glorious End. Ah, I've switched. Ah! Oh, that was going really well.
This strategy was working remarkably well against the twins, but it really did require all my concentration, as if I don't stop attacking within the Glorious End's 6-second fuse, I'll end up taking full damage from the explosion.
Oh yeah, I knew I was going to die as soon as I was at like 0 health.
This meant that swapping to another weapon to deal damage was out of the question, and so it became a battle of patience. I was getting close. All I had to do was avoid damage for long enough that the twins fall before I do.
Come on, come on. Die! No! Oh, that was so close. Yeah, heart statues I think will do it. Oh, they dashed right into me. Ah, that was really close. Oh, is it going to die after I've... Oh, come on. Oh! Right, just right knees are left. I think this is it. That was it. Hey! Second mech down. Oh, that was nice. I might go mine some titanium and adamantite just to see what I can make with them. It might have been a mistake to do that one actually, because now that both mechs are defeated, the last one is stronger. So unless I can get enough good things that counteracts that, the question is, why did I bother doing it? I will also be able to beat Cryogen and get Cryonic ore now. Spirit Flame will be a really good weapon if I want to not have to aim. Yeah, some of these weapons might be worth it. Most probably won't be. I could make the Rainbow Rod. That would be a good homing weapon. Depends what strategy I want to go with for Skeletron Prime now. Rainbow Rod's solid against Prime. Yeah. If I could just run away and deal damage with Rainbow Rod, that might be a way of doing it.
Let's put a pin in that for later, as for now it's time to die to Cryogen. I figure that Warmth Potions should help, so fish up some Frost Minnows and craft them. Then stay on the potion grind a little longer and aim for a full stack of Photosynthesis Potions. Each of these requires a Trapper Bulb, which is very annoying to farm. So instead I build a little platform in the sky, gather up all the spawn rate increases I can, and start a Blood Moon. This is an incredibly fast way to get Blood Orbs for those slightly more annoying potion recipes. So after farming for a stack of Photosynthesis, I also use it for Greater Luck Potions. Much easier than fishing up the average of 1,500 oysters that it would otherwise take. I'm pretty sure that's me caught up with all the potions I can brew at this point. But instead of going back to Cryogen, I think it'll be a little easier to take down the Brimstone Elemental. So after building a bit of an arena, I give her a try.
I mean, it's still just Brimstone Elemental. Not going to be anything too difficult. Ow. Dashed right into that, that was my own fault. Ah, damn. Doesn't help that the projectiles she fires are basically invisible with this background. I really feel like they need to change the colour of the background or change the colour of Brimmy's projectiles. I mean, I think there's perhaps been a background change teased for a while. Yeah, I think we got it this time. The only problem with Brimstone Elemental is she's just so tanky. Like, it's not a hard fight, she just has a lot of health. Please die. There we go. I think what I want from this is the summon. And I got it. Nice. Let's try it out on Cryogen. Are they dealing more damage, or are they just missing a lot of the time? I guess my damage is probably okay for this, to be honest. My maneuverability seems alright as well. Suppose I could also throw that out again, throw that out again. I don't need to move around so constantly. Although, of course, after saying that, I take damage. Once he starts dashing a bit more often, that's when we're potentially in danger. He is low, but so are we. Oh, he's so close to dying. Ah, oh, that's annoying. But yeah, I think my summons might have been missing. I think Deep Sea Staff might be better. That very rarely misses. I don't think my damage is ridiculously low compared to what it would usually be at for this stage. Like, I think you're expected to have about 500 DPS in early hard mode, right? Can I just do this with a hook, actually? Do I need to even use my mount? Seems the hook's doing well enough. Maybe with the goat mount, this would be really good. Until all those things smash and send 5,000 icicles at me. Or maybe actually Gelatinous Pillion would be good, because a lot of that is verticality. Maybe my hook is overcomplicating it. Maybe I just go around like this. Come on, survive, please. I survived. Just. Damn, that was close. But we got there.
I do mine up a bunch of cryonic ore and craft a few weapons, but they honestly aren't any better than my existing options. And with every other on-tier boss defeated, all I can really do is go back to banging my head against Skeletron Prime.
Whoa, little loop-de-loop there. And dead. Oh god. I'm trying to get distance and also stay close so they don't accelerate and also not get hit.
Regardless of which strategy I was failing with, one thing would help them all: an even bigger and better arena.
Yeah, I think refining the runaway strat is the move here. Runaway plus Rainbow Rod could be the strat, and then when I have to switch direction, I could use Biome Blade. Okay, I may stop this here. This is probably far enough. It's about a quarter of a large world. Let's get the Rainbow Rod. I think I'm dealing damage. At this point the question is my damage high enough? And will this work in phase 3?
The Rainbow Rod and a large arena made of asphalt, or as I like to call it, the Rainbow Road strategy, actually ended up working incredibly well, with me even managing to get to his final phase where on top of all the other attacks he has, he also starts shooting out homing missiles. As long as I'm on the ground, these missiles aren't much of an issue as they just collide with the asphalt and explode. However, if I stay in the air for too long, then they become near unavoidable.
Oh, is there anything easier to use than Rainbow Rod that would do the same thing?
Someone in my chat recommended I try out the Shade Crystal Barrage, so after gathering all the materials and crafting it, I test it out on a target dummy.
Okay, yeah, that's really good.
Unfortunately, this doesn't quite deal as much damage in practice as it does in testing, likely due to the large spread of projectiles not all homing in on Skeletron Prime, so I switch back to the Rainbow Rod for the rest of this fight.
Oh, that's so sad. I do really think Spirit Flame will be the answer in phase 3. Well, we can make an Arid artifact and we can go and try and farm for it. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good at dealing damage in this phase. Problem is, he's also pretty good at dealing damage to me during this phase. I don't know how I got through that. Okay, I think I'm getting the hang of this style of play. Somehow survived that. And I didn't survive the rest. Comet Shard would also help a lot since more max mana means more natural regen. 100%. I forgot about Comet Shard. Let's get Comet Shard. Okay, let's hope that that's enough. Oh god damn it. This is 100% possible. I think I know what I'm doing a bit more now. I need to use that now, and then use this. Dash in between them. Oh, I dashed into it. The plan is to expand this arena even further along, like properly with all the buffs and everything as well. Okay, so this is going to mean less turning, which is less risk, and it will probably be necessary later, so as long as I keep dodging like that, I think I should be okay. Proceeds to not keep dodging like that. Oh, close, close, close. I think there is a really good chance each time we do this that it's that time. That was just a practice. Let's go with that. Come on, please. Oh, misclick. That's gonna cost me it, probably. Oh my god, 200 health. Come on. Debuff, please, please. 73 health. No. I'm at least getting into a rhythm with it, though. Still got a heal in the bag. Come on, there we go. Beautiful. It happened. Oh, finally. How many attempts was that? That was 66 attempts. Skeletron Prime is so far the hardest boss I've faced by a comfortable margin, which makes me absolutely terrified for what the rest of hard mode has in store for me. Before that though, a new upgrade is available now that I have all 3 mech souls. Should be able to upgrade this into the normal Biome Blade, which comes with some new attunements. I think the first one I want to check out is Crimson. So now I've got 2 dashes before I need to reset and hit the ground. I also should have something from the Hallowed, right? Oh, this is this one. Okay, this is not going to be too useful, I don't think. There should also be an Astral one, right? What does this one do? Oh, it gives me a dash. This is actually maybe a really good one to use. Yeah, this one should be good, I think. Because I can use it infinitely as well. Can I use it while mounted? Yeah, I can. Slam down into the floor. Ah. Yeah, the fast dash from Crimson is nice. And then I can switch to this one for a slower one. With some extra damage as well, I imagine. I also craft a Blood Orange for the extra health, the Mounted Scanner as a very powerful piercing minion, and the Vengeful Sun Staff, one of the best single target minions in all of hard mode, which is somewhat balanced by the fact that you can only have one of them. Okay, that's really good damage. To top it off, I buy a new sentry from the Archmage, which he only sells after defeating all 3 mechs. Then it's time to test out my new damage. Yeah, 1 Sun and 2 Scanners I think is going to be best. Then also add in 2 of these, 1 of these, some of that, and 2 of these, and basically Plantera is going to be dead in seconds. 2000 DPS without any primary weapon. While I could fight either the Calamitas clone or Plantera next, I decided to go with the latter since she's much easier to dodge with limited mobility. And after finding the Vernal Pass and making some minor modifications, it was time to give her a try. Using the black spot to circle Plantera and the Biome Blade for more sudden changes in direction, I can dodge phase 1 incredibly easily, but admittedly my DPS while doing so isn't very high. Even after using an Adrenaline with the Rainbow Rod, it still takes a while to get to phase 2, which remains pretty easy to dodge for the most part. The fight was taking so long that eventually I started getting bored and tried to either dash through Plantera to deal some extra damage, or slam into the walls to spawn Astral Monoliths, neither of which was particularly effective at anything other than depleting my own health. On my second attempt I used the Shade Crystal Barrage to massively speed up phase 1, then switched back to the Biome Blade for mobility in phase 2. Although the hold that the Claymore has on me remains strong, and it won't be so easily broken by a shiny new toy. Yeah, and what happens if I use this? It does make it a bit smoother to move around. It does deal extra damage, I guess. Is the older Claymore just better? God, I hate to say it, but the older Claymore might just be better. Was that doing better? That's the question. I feel like it might have been. Biome Blade is very precise, that's true, but you can change direction with the Claymore midway through the fight. So with this, you're stuck in one direction. If I try and like flick my cursor to the other side, it doesn't work. Whereas with the Claymore, I can change directions fluidly. So if I'm dashing and I see I'm going into something, then I'll avoid it. Yeah, this does a lot of damage with Adrenaline, wow. Oh, I'm sure I missed that. Overall, I wasn't too worried about Plantera. It's barely harder to dodge her in this playthrough compared to a normal one, so it's really just a matter of endurance.
On the other hand, it doesn't take much to remind me that this isn't a normal playthrough at all, as with only a handful of defence and no knockback immunity, the slightest mistake will be punished severely.
See, I don't think I would have been able to dodge there with the Biome Blade, because I like weaved in and out in a way that I don't think the Biome Blade would allow. Okay, that was not too bad at all. Claymore saved that attempt. It did for sure. Claymore saves every attempt. Claymore's just the best thing created.
Defeating Plantera does unlock perennial ore, but nothing I can craft with it is all that interesting. The real exciting upgrades come from the dungeon, or more specifically from ectoplasm, as this lets me craft the Pumpkin Moon Medallion and take on perhaps the most important event in this entire playthrough. The reason this event is so important isn't for the various weapons it drops, although they are a nice bonus. It's because it provides access to two of the best mounts in the game relative to their place in progression, each of which fills its niche almost perfectly. The first one I get is the Witch's Broom, which is an infinite flight mount much like the Black Spot. Unlike the Black Spot, however, it doesn't come with the 2-block increase to the player's hitbox height. In fact, it doesn't even come with the 1-block increase of later mounts like the UFO and Shrimpy Truffle, making it remain useful even after unlocking them. Aside from having a better hitbox, the Witch's Broom is also much faster and more manoeuvrable than the Black Spot, which helps me take down the Pumpkin Moon again for the second mount.
Hex Branch, that's the one I'm looking for. Hex Branch will probably swap out for the Goat Skull, because it's just faster. It doesn't have a double jump, but I think that's okay because look how fast it is. And it's got really fast acceleration as well.
I also take down the Frost Moon, but this time it really is just for the weapons, of which the Snowman Cannon and Elf Melter are the standouts. I also open all the biome chests in the dungeon, with the Rainbow Gun and Desert Tiger Staff being nice additions to my passive damage, but none of the others being all that worthwhile. With that, it's time to get into the only other boss on this tier, the Calamitas clone. The Witch's Broom is more than capable of dodging this first phase, and I even managed to charge up an adrenaline to use at the absolute worst time possible.
And of course I do that as soon as that phase comes in, and then take a hit immediately.
The mount does struggle a bit against the Brothers phase however, with it not quite being fast enough to evade them. On one attempt I do manage to get past this phase with a well-timed adrenaline, but then end up dying during the final bullet hell.
And then this phase where I probably most likely die. Yep.
I figured I should probably find a more consistent way to get to this point, and that would come in the form of the Hexed Branch, which allows me to outrun most of Calclone and the Brothers' attacks. However, no matter how fast I go, I won't be able to outrun the bullet hells.
And if I just keep running... No. If I just keep running, I run into them. Possible I've ruined that. Yep.
I'd need to switch back to the Witch's Broom for more manoeuvrability, but transitioning between the two mounts within my inventory wasn't exactly smooth, and ended up causing quite a lot of damage and quite a few deaths.
Oh damn. If I just stayed on the Witch's Broom I probably would have got that. I wonder if I use these from the hotbar, do they still work? If I just like... Oh, I can switch between them much easier like this. I'll keep them on the hotbar then. Much easier transition between phases there. There we go. Easy-ish. You know, once you work out the whole strategy to cheese it entirely. Lashes of Chaos. These are both equipable, so they get sold. I think that's really it. I don't think there's many things from her that I actually want or need. Okay, Leviathan and Anarchy I think should be possible with the Witch's Broom. Curious how that would go. Ah, there's Anahita. Oh yeah, it starts with Leviathan in death mode. Okay, slightly better arena. Well, I think not even a slightly better arena, just having my Crimson thing would help. Is all this pain worth it? There's no pain involved really. I'm playing a game that I enjoy playing. The idea that because something is hard, it's painful is not one I agree with. Shoot this out again. Should get a lot more damage now because we've actually got all of our sentries and stuff down. Yeah, our damage is looking good. Oh, we're at Anahita already. Wow. Anahita down, and I'm down. Want Anahita down any second. Yep. And now Leviathan. I think I've got it. There we go. Okay, not too bad. I don't know how many attempts that was, I can check in a second. 7 attempts. Really not bad at all. Leviathan and Anahita don't really give me much other than a few weapons, which don't end up working particularly well against the next boss, Astrum Aureus, anyway. Thankfully, this is one of the few bosses in the playthrough where mobility isn't the main issue, damage is. The Hexed Branch can easily outrun Aureus while his projectiles spread out above and below me, with the only real danger being turning around. With a whopping 40 defense and 50% damage reduction, however, the fight does take a while. It turns out Aureus is just really easy if you run in a straight line. Aureus drops the Auro Radical Throw, a very easy to use rogue weapon that homes in on enemies and can go through blocks, making it perfect to help me farm for the Hive Pod, an easy to use sentry that homes in on enemies and goes through blocks. Oh, there's my Hive Pod. As with most bosses in this playthrough though, a couple of weapon upgrades are all I get before having to push on to the next one. So after finding the Jungle Temple and making my way to the altar, I start my long battle against Golem. Okay, so damage is really good, that's the fists down already. Problem I imagine is going to be dodging once the head is out. Or just dodging in general. The problem here isn't really my damage or mobility, it's the fact that even the slightest error will result in me losing a third of my health. To help with that, I build a one-way hoik down each side of the arena to catch the bouncing fireballs, allowing me to much more consistently get to the phase where the head separates from the body. Once that happens, however, the sheer amount of fireballs, lasers, and lingering explosions becomes incredibly difficult to dodge. I think it's definitely doable is the annoying thing. It's just how many attempts will it take. The problem is, I don't think there's really much I can do to make this fight easier or quicker. It's really just a case of trying, dying, and trying again. Okay, so dealing damage with the Biome Blade is probably not worth it. Come on, head down on this adrenaline, please. Oh, really just slid, didn't it? It landed here and then slid off the side, which is just really annoying.
In the end, my saving grace comes in the form of a well-timed combination of rage and adrenaline, which absolutely tears through the head before it can fill the arena with too many projectiles.
Okay, head is down, now just body to deal with. Okay, I'm gonna go back to Old Lord Claymore for this. I think Old Lord Claymore is best for this phase. I think we got it. Ayy. Really not too bad. How many attempts was that? 16 attempts, so I think it's the second highest so far. I think after Skeleton Prime, that was the hardest fight. Yeah, I mean, Prime was the hardest by far because it's 66. And then everything else I think has been reasonably easy-ish.
The most important item unlocked by Golem comes from the scoria ore found in the Abyss, and without armour or accessories to extend my breath time, the only way I can survive long enough to collect any of it is thanks to Amadas, the Sea King. By asking him for help, I get a buff which entirely protects me from the effects of the Abyss. There is one small catch however. Taking a hit will instantly remove the Sea King's blessing, leaving me entirely unprotected against the full weight of the ocean pressing down on me, so I have to be incredibly careful when using it.
$119 scoria, that's quite a bit. I can make life alloy now. The main thing is the Stygian shield. Okay, ornate shield, and then Stygian shield. This is what's going to save the rest of the run perhaps. I think it might finally be better than the Claymore, as long as it works well mounted. But what it allows you to do is charge a massive dash. And you can dash through enemies to deal damage and get iframes. Okay, so it does work well mounted, but it unmounts me. But it's faster than this. It's faster than this. And goes further than it. And I just have to remount after doing it. I think it might finally be better. I'm going to preemptively put these away. I've decided that that is the main one now.
Scoria also unlocks my next health upgrade, Miracle Fruit. And after collecting some Plague canisters from the jungle, my next minion upgrade, the Plague Blossom Staff.
I think this takes up 2 minion slots. Yeah, and then I can use this as well. So hopefully that's a good amount of damage. I know that it rarely misses.
The post-Golem pre-cultist stage of the game has 4 different bosses to take down, with each of them posing a unique challenge with such limited mobility. I decided to start off by attempting the Empress of Light, since fighting her with the Witch's Broom is actually one of the best strategies in vanilla. This works pretty well for phase 1, with most attacks feeling dodgeable with the Witch's Broom alone. In phase 2 however, the Witch's Broom just doesn't seem to have the speed required thanks to her more random, faster and overlapping attacks in Revengeance and Death mode. I take a small break from the Empress to fight the Martians in the hope that they might give me some better weapons. The invasion itself is really easy thanks to my earlier Blood Moon setup, and the Martian saucers aren't too difficult either once I get the hang of them. Going into this I was a little worried about their final phase, but it turns out I can just bonk them a few times with the Stygian shield until they self-destruct.
Yep, that worked.
Sadly, after testing all the loot, none of it seems to be better than what I already have, and after making no progress on Empress across 3 more attempts, I decide to move on to another boss. And what I mean by move on to another boss is spend an hour hammering platforms and removing background walls in the Vernal Pass, only to barely make a dent in the Plaguebringer Goliath, before crashing out and fighting Ravager instead. This is a good time to bring up the fact that in addition to the dash, the Stygian shield also has a right click attack that throws the shield out like a boomerang, similar to the Sergeant United shield from vanilla. This is pretty decent against a single target, but for Ravager I really need to find something that can pierce through the rock walls and hit many of his segments. After testing a few different options, what ends up working incredibly well is Plague Nades. as even if they get blocked by the pillars, the bees that explode out of them still target Ravager itself, and quickly swarm the multiple segments for insanely high damage. This makes getting to the second phase much more feasible, but everything after that remains an uphill struggle.
Okay, that worked really well until it didn't. I think this will work in general.
Since Plague Nades are consumable, I also have to stop every few attempts to go farm Queen Bee and Plague enemies to get more of them, which isn't exactly difficult, but certainly a little annoying. At some point I realise that there's probably more bees than can actually hit the boss thanks to iframes, so start switching to the auto radical throw for a few seconds after building my swarm.
Oh, there's still time to mess it up. Look, if I get hit once. Are you kidding me? Oh no.
After another fail and some more farming for Plague Nades, I finally lock in long enough to defeat Ravager.
Okay, head is about to come off. Try not to throw. Easy, easy, easy. Barely even had to try there. What was it, only like one attempt, yeah?
The permanent rage upgrade is nice, but the only weapon that drops is the sentry, which has a very low range. I defeat it another few times and test out some of the other weapons, but they're also pretty underwhelming. That's not really an issue though, since I won't exactly get a chance to use them against the next boss anyway.
Maybe Duke is the way. I've not tried Duke. This is gonna go really badly. I can already tell. Or maybe not. Just dash through him with the shield all the time. This actually might work. That was unironically going quite well. Yeah, I just need to get faster. This is quite a fun way to fight a boss, I have to say. This is definitely 100% possible. I just need to get a good run. Oh, I need to do a bit better than that. Ah. 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 One. Ah. That's the closest I've been, I think. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2. Whoa, he just kept going. Below 20% Duke in Death apparently just dashes endlessly. Oh, that's going to be awful then. Oh my god. Oh, I was so close at the end there. I was so locked in, just trying not to get distracted by a singular thing. Oh, I could have healed the whole time. Yeah, you're right. Didn't need it. Didn't need the heal.
Of course. Of course I get the 1 in 15 drop of Fishron wings, the best pre-Moonlord wings, in a run where I can't use them. Ah, that is a relief though, that is... I'm glad that is over. How's the shrimpy truffle then? Okay, so obviously outside of water, bad. But... if I make it rain... Okay, yeah, that's a lot faster. That might allow me to beat Empress. Oh, I forgot that it would do that. Oh, I'm so lucky I didn't get hit by any of those. Turns out, the shrimpy truffle dropped by Duke is exactly what I needed to get an edge over the Empress. While it's raining, this mount gets a massive speed boost and grants 15% extra damage. And with either the torrential or caustic tier, I can make sure it's always raining to get this boost. This makes dodging those faster attacks much easier and makes the entire fight shorter, meaning less dodging is required in the first place. So after a handful of new attempts with the shrimpy truffle, I come out on top. This might be it, if I can just survive long enough. Come on, die, 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 die. There we go. With that, there's only one boss left in this section of the game. And sadly, that boss is the Plaguebringer Goliath. Yeah, I think we need a better strategy for PBG. I could try PBG on the surface, because someone was saying that she doesn't enrage there. So significantly better, actually, if I can get used to when she dashes. I think it's possible. And so it was once again time to make some changes to my arena, this time placing down and actuating a bunch of lizard bricks to turn it into a jungle. I think a much bigger arena, and I've maybe got this. So after expanding it even further, I get straight into attempts, with an unexpectedly good run on my second try on the new arena. That was going really well. I think another few attempts and we can do that. Of course, this was just beginner's luck, and in reality it would take a lot more than just a few attempts. The overall strategy is incredibly simple. Fly in a mostly straight line while trying to dodge its stingers and minions. Then when it dashes, I use my own dash from the Stygian shield to counter. The challenge comes in the execution, as the high damage from the Plaguebringer is very punishing to any mistakes I make, and its minions can quickly stack up if I don't take them out fast enough. Yeah, if it tries to dash from behind me, it's fine. I can get around that. If it tries to dash from in front of me, I'm screwed, because I'm moving towards it.
I think part of it is just luck with where the dashies start from. If the dashies start from behind me, I've got a much better chance. Come on, last little bit of rage and adrenaline to get me through. Heal in a second. Okay, I think I got it. Oh, that's so painful. Ah! Adrenaline off at least. We may actually get a second off, although I'm sure me saying that has made it literally impossible for that to happen. Or maybe not. Okay, come on. I can do this. Here we go. Easy. I mean, obviously not, but we did get there. Oh, that dropped a lot of things.
With the Plaguebringer destroyed, I was now free to take down the cultist and finish up hard mode. Well, not quite, as there's arguably one more loose end to tie up. Betsy. There's a bit of a debate as to whether she counts as a boss or not, but just to be safe I'm going to fight her anyway. My various sentry and sentry-like magic weapons are able to handle most of the normal enemies from the Old One's army, and I use the plague-tainted SMG I crafted from the Plaguebringer's drops for any stragglers or mini-bosses. It's also worth shouting out the System Bane is a much shorter-lived sentry-like rogue weapon. Not that rogues have a reason to fight the Old One's army in the first place though. Once Betsy spawns, I focus almost exclusively on her while dodging with the Shrimpy Truffle, which seems pretty well suited to her speed and attacks.
Wait, have I actually somehow beaten Old One's army without a sentry for the Old One's army and without armor or accessories? Because that's a little bit insane, I have to say.
With that little side quest out of the way, I could get back to the main path and move on to the lunatic cultist. By knowing exactly where he's going to teleport above me, I can start the fight with a massive burst of damage from all my passive sources. After that, it's just a case of trying my best to dodge his many attacks with the Shrimpy Truffle. This first attempt was going really well until the Phantasmal Dragon spawned, which is just a little too fast for me to dodge and a little too tanky for me to take down quickly. Even still, it proved that a victory was well within reach. It was just a matter of how many attempts it would take.
It's the knockback that gets me. It's so annoying having to deal with knockback. I like how it deals like 10% damage instantly. That does feel quite good. I think this may be the one. Yeah, there we go.
The pillars are mostly manageable thanks to the reduced spawn rate from calming and zen potions, allowing me to focus on just a few enemies at once instead of getting swarmed. With the lunar fragments they drop, I craft and test a bunch of new weapons, then very intentionally die to Moonlord, as there's still one more hard mode boss before him.
Looks like for the most part I can just outrun it.
The first phase of this fight is pretty easy with the Shrimpy Truffle. but once it splits into two they become faster and harder to dodge. So I switched to the Stygian shield every now and then to dash through them and build some extra distance.
Okay, if I get it lined up, that is phase 1 done.
At this point I knew this would be the winning strategy. I just had to get faster at swapping to my shield and stop making stupid mistakes.
Oh, the knockback. That would have done it, I think, if I hadn't thrown it at the end. Ah! Why did I not remount? I swear I remounted there. Okay, that's only one of them that's been defeated. I need to defeat both in death. And both are defeated. And I am defeated. That kind of worked. I will take it.
With access to Astral Ore I can now craft the Ethereal Core for an extra 50 mana, and upgrade my Biome Blade to the True Biome Blade.
Okay. I need to look at all the different attunements for this as well. Maybe this doesn't work like the other Biome Blade does. Oh no. For the dash to work with this one I have to actually hit enemies. And then I release it, and then I can dash. Okay, so this is another dash weapon. I think Stygian Shield's just better for this. For dashing anyway. Galactica Singularities are actually useful pre-Moonlord, but I think it's only for one specific weapon, and it's the Cosmic Rainbow. Right, let's test this out then, because this should be another very easy passive damage dealer. Okay, it deals about 1,600, 1,500 damage, and it should cover a really big area, to be honest. Why didn't you use this on Deus? Because I forgot. It would have probably melted Deus. In fact, let's get a Star Core and try it. Okay, it doesn't actually take that much damage. Less than I thought it would. Problem is, it probably just flies through it in like 3 seconds anyway. I don't need to take down Deus again, I was just curious if it would melt him. Oh, I'm slow again. Yeah. If it stops raining, I'm dead. I could just go for Moonlord now. And I think that's exactly what I might do. I don't actually want to be using any of these. Yeah, I should probably get my weapons sorted before I start the fight. But these are my 3 weapon options. Okay, so this is about 1,200 damage. This doesn't seem to be hitting. Like, taking it to SMG might be good for it. Let's give it a try. Okay, about 1,600 DPS.
I never quite work out which weapon is the best for Moonlord, but thankfully I do work out how to dodge him, at least for the most part.
I can outrun it, but just. Only just.
The speed of the Shrimpy Truffle during rain allows me to keep him just on the edge of my screen, where I can weave up and down and dodge his attacks. Then for the Death Laser I just need to be incredibly vigilant with timing and swap to the Rod of Discord to avoid it. From there, it's just a matter of slowly improving at the fight and praying that I don't get hit.
Oh. Probably wasted that adrenaline because his eye isn't even open. But I think I'll still get the eye down this rotation. Yeah, okay. Onto the core. Ah. Really good damage on this one. Already into phase 3, I think. Not quite. Oh, I'm dead. One bit of knockback, and I'm dead. That's the problem. I can execute the fight perfectly, and that'll do it. It's just all the times that I'm not executing the fight perfectly that are the problem. Come on. Come on. Come on. There we go. There we go. Ah. I did say if I executed perfectly. That wasn't perfect, but it was pretty close. I think I only got hit like 3 or 4 times. 7. 7 times. Close enough.
With the Moonlord defeated, I get straight to work excavating the planetoids that spawn for their luminite. This isn't anywhere near as useful as it would be in a playthrough where I could make armour and accessories from it, but it still unlocks a vast array of new weapons to try out. Most important of which is the Super Radiant Slaughterer. I didn't realise it at the time, but once I learn how to properly use this, it ends up being one of the strongest weapons in the entire playthrough. Along with the weapons, I also craft a Normality Relocator, which essentially acts as a rod of discord that works from my inventory with a hotkey. Even in regular playthroughs, this is a very powerful item, and the ability to easily reposition or dodge a hit at the last second is absolutely vital in a challenge like this. That's really all I can get before moving on to the next boss, which comes with a bit of a breakthrough in how the Stygian shield actually works. Dragon Folly itself really isn't too bad. I can counter its dashes just like I did with Duke Fishron and the Plaguebringer, and can reliably dodge its projectiles using either my mount or hook. The real issue is the Draconic Swarmers it spawns. Even if they didn't kill me themselves, trying to avoid them often would, and so for a while I was quite thoroughly stuck with what to do.
Oh, why did it not let me teleport?
I kept bashing my head against Dragon Folly and its stupid little minions, but it just wouldn't budge. That is, until someone in my chat drops an absolute nuke of knowledge in the form of a very simple question.
Am I remembering right, and Stygian Shield can frame through projectiles as well? Can it?
Turns out, yes, it can, and I've been using it wrong this whole time. I was under the impression that the shield would give immunity frames if I dash into an enemy. Turns out it just gives immunity, full stop. This means I can straight up dash through Dragon Folly's laser walls and feathers to keep my distance. And even better, it seems that if the player is far enough away, Dragon Folly won't spawn any Draconic Swarmers.
This is just an endurance game at this point.
The only remaining problem is that I need to keep my dash ready at a moment's notice, so I have to rely almost entirely on minions for damage in the first 2 phases.
Yeah, this is more than doable with this strategy. It's just a long fight. You're not really intended to fight Dragon Folly for 6 minutes.
Once he enters phase 3 at 40% health, he loses the ability to spawn Draconic Swarmers, so I could stay a little closer and use sentries for much higher damage.
Eee, we got there. Yeah, turns out the Stygian Shield is OP.
Turns out it's not that OP however, as I still die another 9 times while trying to farm for the mount he drops, eventually just giving up and moving on to the Profaned Guardians instead.
Okay, healer phase is definitely doable, it looks like. I might even get an adrenaline. Oh, that was a little cagey. And the turning was not ideal. Okay, time to turn around. Or just time to get killed. I think I maybe need to switch to the Stygian Shield for that part. Oh, I just went right into that. Oh, damn. There goes like most of my health in 2 hits in the space of like 3 seconds. And then the rest of my health in the next 5. So phase 1 is absolutely fine. Phase 2 is mostly fine. It's phase 3 that I've got the issue with, I think. But I've also only got to phase 3 a couple of times, so it's possible that I just need to get better at it by practicing more. Can I get adrenaline off before he hits me? Yes, just. Okay, I think worth it for the damage. And now I just let the shield do the work and hope that my minions can hit it. If I can lead it into my sentries every now and then, that would be great as well, just for a little bit of extra damage. I just need to survive while my minions do like 600 DPS. It's just a slow fight. I was worried for a second because it stopped raining, but it looks like we're done. Nice, nice.
There's quite literally nothing new to do between the Guardians and Providence, so I get straight into fighting her.
Damage could be better. Could be quite a bit better, actually.
Aside from getting hit and dying all the time, the major issue in these first few attempts is that my damage is nowhere near high enough. With my current DPS, a successful attempt would take a minimum of around 6 minutes, and that's not even taking into account the extra defense and healing she gets when the Guardians are alive. Now with the amount of damage I'm taking, I think my chances of surviving a 6-minute battle are pretty much 0, so I need to get that kill time as low as possible. That's where the Super Radiant Slaughterer comes into play. This has the potential for some truly insane damage for its stage in progression, but it's not your run-of-the-mill point-and-shoot ranger weapon, so getting the most out of it takes quite a bit of practice and concentration. When left-clicking, you charge up a spinning saw blade that increases in size and damage over time, which shoots out when released and will return after some time. Right-clicking will instead shoot out a stationary saw blade that fires homing bolts at nearby enemies. For as long as this saw blade is active, all other saw blades will home into the player's cursor, massively increasing the damage potential of each one.
Okay, yeah. Never mind, I think we found our weapon.
The right click attack has a much longer cooldown than the left click, so learning the timing of each takes me quite a while. Regardless, even after just one attempt, it's clear that this will be the way.
Okay, that was good damage. I just need to get better at also not taking damage while doing that, because it takes quite a lot of concentration to use that weapon correctly.
Over the next few dozen attempts, I slowly get better at both dodging Providence and using the Super Radiant Slaughterer, with me even managing to get to the Guardian phase on one attempt. For all of 3 seconds.
Oh, I just teleported the wrong way. Ah, that's the furthest we've got. And I think it showed that it is possible. You just have to play, like, perfectly to get there. That was like 3 adrenalines or something. It's really annoying.
Regardless of how good I get at the fight, however, it only takes a single mistake to turn a good attempt bad.
Oh, that is harsh. I'm dead. So annoying. That is closest, I think, probably by far. The fact that we're getting closer each time means I think it's possible. Okay, I am going to leave it there, and the next time I come on, I'll probably end up doing it first time or something.
After a full night's sleep to reinforce all this practice, I return the next day and get even closer, managing to take down all 3 Guardians on both my second and third attempts of the day.
Oh, there's too many there. Oh.
Even still, I felt like my damage needed to be higher to get through that final phase without dying. I consider switching to different alcohols, but other than Everclear, these are all pretty marginal buffs, and I make a pretty clear stance against Everclear that won't be easily swayed.
Everclear is just never worth it. Like 25% damage is not worth 5 HP per second, and the 30% defense doesn't really matter in my case, but although if I just don't get hit, maybe Everclear works.
The extra damage provided by Everclear makes quite a difference in the speed of the fight. Granted, each hit is more punishing as it takes a few seconds for my natural healing to catch up with the -5 regen, but at a certain point it doesn't really matter whether you lose 320 or 360 health per hit. The winning strategy remains the same, just don't get hit. Unfortunately, that's a lot easier said than done, with her Star Cocoon phase being a standout among the rest. In an attack like this where I have to weave through the small gaps between projectiles, the increased hitbox height from the Shrimpy Truffle really starts to become noticeable. If I can get over this one last hurdle, I might just be able to eke out a win.
Hey, we did it. Everclear to the rescue, it seems. Ah, that's a relief.
Defeating Providence spawns Yuli Bloom ore, so after mining some up I craft the Elderberry for another 25 max life, along with a new summon, pickaxe, and fishing rod. I get straight to work using said fishing rod to catch bloodfins, a healing potion alternative that I can now reel up in the Brimstone Crags. These offer slightly less health than Supreme Healing Potions, but grant more health overall thanks to the regen they provide, which is even stronger when afflicted with a damaging debuff. In addition to Bloodfins, the Brimstone Crags now also grant access to Bloodstone as an enemy drop. The first thing I craft with this is the Brimrose mount, which is slower than the Shrimpy Truffle while wet, but still remains useful anywhere I can't get water or rain, which just so happens to be exactly the case for the next boss. My first try against Cygnus proves that I won't be able to dodge him with the Brimrose alone, so for the next few attempts I use the Stygian Shield for movement instead of focusing on damage. As I'm sure you could guess, this means I'm in for a pretty long fight, in fact much longer than I can even survive. A larger arena with proper buff stations should help, so I get to work excavating the very first arena I've ever made specifically for Cygnus. Usually I just reuse whatever I had for the Brimstone Elemental or Underworld Providence, but without armour or accessories it seems even Cygnus is a challenge.
This is the most I've ever had to prepare for Cygnus, and I do not like it. It's a pretty big arena, should probably be okay. Let's give him a try. Okay, so we're just dealing really low damage to him for what we would normally be dealing at this point, I think. But we're managing to dodge for the most part. Is there a phase 2 to Cygnus? I feel like I never normally have to fight him for long enough to find out.
When using the Stygian Shield it took me around 3 minutes to get him down to 1/3 health.
Oh, the debuff.
But when actually attacking, it takes just 55 seconds to get to roughly the same spot. So at this point I really just have to decide between a slower and safer fight, or a faster, much more dangerous one.
It's just, I go from full health to no health in 0 time. Maybe I just have to accept that it's a long fight and I'm just going to have to fight it with minions and summons and all that. Because I can avoid damage pretty easily with the shield. The only problem is dealing damage. Although that's 5% gone already, that's not too bad. So 40% through the fight. I think I've taken 1 hit. It's just a really boring way to fight a boss.
Very boring indeed, especially when I go through it all just to die at 20% health anyway. In the end, the successful attempt takes 4.5 minutes. I'll spare you having to actually watch it. The sad part is I don't really gain anything from beating him, as none of his weapons are better than what I already have. So it's just a case of moving straight on to the next boss. I'd already tried Stormweaver a couple times before Cygnus, and the main issue seems to be getting through phase 1, where every segment other than his tail has massive defense and damage reduction.
Do I have to get through 100% of that? Oh no, 80%, okay. That's a lot of damage though, that I have to get through.
Once again, the Super Radiant Slaughterer seems to be the quickest at slicing through it, but the Shrimpy Truffle alone doesn't quite have the manoeuvrability to dodge the lightning bolts and Stormweaver himself, so I once again fall back on the Stygian Shield for mobility.
Okay, we've done 1% damage. %2 damage. Okay, another 10 minutes and I'll maybe be in phase 2. Or I'll just die before I get there. That's also a possibility.
Other than it taking a full 3 minutes to get rid of just 20% of his health, this ends up working pretty well. And while phase 2 starts out just as slowly, once I swap my sentry to the Lunar Portal Staff, it picks up pace thanks to his segments finally taking more than 1 damage at a time.
Oh. Okay, that strategy works well. I just need to not die at the end. I can just outrun the damage from that. Yeah, I can just get out of that actually. And then bring him back here. And then it's actually quite easy. We are not always the thrower class, only most of the time.
Unlike Cygnus, Stormweaver actually does offer a viable upgrade in the form of the Stellar Taurus Staff, which is basically the minion equivalent of the Lunar Portal Staff, both of which are the perfect summons to use against the next boss. Unfortunately, however, there does not exist a single weapon strong enough to save me from the absolute hell that would be Ceaseless Void. While the Brimrose mount is good, it can't quite compare to the extra movement speed and damage of the Shrimpy Truffle when wet. I set up 2 bubble columns I can fly through to refresh the wet buff, but the slight inconsistency in speed only makes things worse. So after another hour filled with dozens of deaths, I decide to destroy even more of the dungeon and drown the whole thing. And while this did take a rather long time, it also made a rather large difference.
Oh, so close there. Come on. Next phase, please. And sucked straight into it.
One of the hardest parts of this fight is that during the stationary vortex attack, the player will be sucked towards the void with most forms of movement becoming impossible. It's not the worst, however. That award undoubtedly goes to Ceaseless rotating 45 degrees around the player every 4 seconds while the orbs that spiral around it try to catch up. This makes for an incredibly difficult pattern to learn, with many movements seeming sporadic even if there is some obscure internal consistency behind it. The rotating is so bad in fact that it got made exclusive to For the Worthy in the most recent update, which also happened to nerf Ceaseless Void's health and damage by a pretty significant amount. Sadly I'm not on that update however, so I just have to get good. Oh, that died as it hit me. That's so annoying. Eventually I switch back to Everclear for increased damage, as with the right timing I could essentially skip an entire Vortex phase thanks to the Super Radiant Slaughterer. Other than that, it's just a case of practice and slowly refining my strategy. If you asked me to describe how to dodge this boss, I wouldn't quite be able to put it into words. But over time I just seem to know exactly where to put myself and when. I enter into a kind of flow state where I don't have to think about dodging or aiming, I just do it. That is, until some absolute bullshit happens and I die. Ah. That. Ah. Ceaseless Void sucks. Yes, I believe he does. Both figuratively and literally. Literally can't move away. How does it, like, how's the boss better by not making you able to move left and right? How does that improve the boss in any way? Doesn't exactly make it more fun. It makes it a little bit more challenging, I guess, in the same way that, like, Confused makes things more challenging. But, like, no one enjoys Confused. Ah, 1.3. 1.3. Oh, I just got sucked right into that. Oh, I released my cursor there, and I didn't dash. Oh, that's so annoying. Like I said, it's possible with what we've got at the moment. And I think it'll take less time to do it using the current strategy than it will by changing the strategy entirely. Oh, that's an annoying hit. A millisecond before it changed phase. It's probably not the run this one. Okay, going into the final phase with an adrenaline is pretty big. Hey, we did it. Oh, that was the most attempts so far that it has taken to beat a boss. 180, about 3 times as many as Skeletron Prime. Oh, we did it. We did it. Now you'd think that since the next boss is also fought in the dungeon, all that arena prep I did for Ceaseless would be immediately put to good use once more. However, after a few attempts against Poltergeist, it seems that rather counterintuitively, my arena is too big rather than too small. That mainly comes down to these pink darts which travel a few blocks before trying to home into the nearest player. And in my massive arena they have more than enough time to travel that distance and turn around once they start homing. If I instead switch to a smaller arena though, these will collide with the blocks on the edges before they get the chance to home in and turn around, significantly reducing the number of projectiles I have to dodge. Of course, having a smaller arena does make it harder to dodge literally everything else, and I just don't quite have enough vertical speed from any of the mounts currently available, with almost all of them clocking in at the same 41 miles per hour whether I'm flying up or falling down. So after a few more deaths, I resort to the incredibly boring and excruciatingly slow strategy I used against Dragonfolly and Cygnus. Run away with the Stygian shield while my summons and sentries do all of the damage for me. As is to be expected from a boss that has more health, more defense and more damage reduction than the previous two I used this strategy on, it also takes a lot longer, and it's very likely that this is the last boss in progression that this strategy will work on.
This is so fun. I love when my adrenaline does like 1% damage to the boss. I think this may end up being the longest fight in the playthrough. The longest fight so far, yes.
My 3 minion slots and 2 sentry slots along with the pitiful damage boosts I have from potions would be thoroughly outclassed by even the weakest of on-tier summoner setups, and that gap will only continue to widen the closer I get to the final bosses. So unless I want a 30-minute fight against the Devourer, I'll have to be a little more aggressive moving forward.
Okay, we got there. We probably didn't deserve to get there, but we did. Okay, Polter ended up dropping quite a lot though. Ecto Heart, very nice. That's a pretty good minion I seem to remember. That maybe is good. I feel like for Old Duke we're just going to need to dash as well.
Thankfully, Old Duke will be a much faster and far more enjoyable fight than Poltergeist, and that's all thanks to the next mobility weapon I can get from the tier 3 Acid Rain.
Gamma Heart and Phosphorescent Gauntlet. Is there actually anything else I need from the event? Why was that easier than in my Manaless Mage video?
Dropped by Nuclear Terrors, the Phosphorescent Gauntlet works like an omnidirectional Shield of Cthulhu, allowing you to dash towards your cursor and bonk enemies to deal damage and get some iframes.
Oh, and it works well mounted. That's brilliant. So I can dash into Old Duke like this, and there's nothing he can do about it, except also dash into me and then kill me, but let's hope he doesn't do that.
He does, in fact, do that. But over the next few attempts I start to learn when to dash and when to dodge, slowly improving over time and making adjustments where needed. Much like Duke Fishron was with the Stygian shield, fighting Old Duke with the Phosphorescent Gauntlet is incredibly fun, to the point that I don't even mind that much when I die because it means I get to fight him again. Whenever I have enough distance, I switch from my gauntlet to the Pearl God to deal damage, a gun that has some pretty good lifesteal even when using chlorophyte bullets, making for a very easy to use, high damage weapon that also helps me recover from any hits I take.
Good thing is Pearl God is going to keep me healthy. Melt, 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 melt.
It doesn't take long for me to have my first sub 20% attempt.
Oh, I should have kept using the dash.
Then another.
Ah, not enough iframes.
Then a much worse fail at 43%.
Okay, I am gonna call it a day there because I've been going for over 6 hours now and I want to stay fresh at least a little bit. But I think Old Duke is doable in the next one.
And finally a successful fight on only the 11th attempt.
I need to get out of here. And he should be dead now, yeah. Okay, that was not too bad. I could do that a few times if I need to get a good drop. Although it looks like I got almost every drop anyway. What have I actually missed there? Cadaverous Carrion and so the 2 summons, which is kind of what I wanted.
I farm Old Duke a few more times to get the summons and have an absolutely great time while doing so. After so long spent dying to Ceaseless and then a very boring fight against Poltergeist, it was a breath of fresh air to have a boss fight that felt like an appropriate level of difficulty. Don't get me wrong, any more than 2 hits in quick succession and I'm still dead, but at least when I do get hit it feels like it was my own mistake.
Oh, come on. That's very annoying. Can only blame myself though.
Unfortunately, that positivity was about to come face to face with reality, then have its face repeatedly smashed into a pulp by said reality. And by reality, I of course mean the pre-brainstorm update Devourer of Gods.
What? Ah. Okay, through to the second phase. Just outrun those. I dashed there, I swear. Okay, this is 100% doable. Like, actually reasonably easy as long as I don't mess anything up.
Despite how long I spent on this boss, I honestly don't have much I can actually say about it. My overall strategy doesn't change much between the first attempt and the last. I just use the Shrimpy Truffle for movement and the Old Reaper for damage, then occasionally switch to the Stygian Shield to dash through the Devourer or its projectiles to reposition. This is especially useful during the second phase laser walls, as once I have the timing down I can charge up the shield to dash right past them.
Okay, to keep the adrenaline or to use it? I really do not know. I think I'm going to keep it. I think I need to avoid getting hit more than I need to deal damage at this point. Or, it doesn't matter either way, because I'm just one hit from the head. I don't know if we are getting the dog rework this update. I think that's maybe still coming on a later one. But it's kind of necessary, I think. Because what is this?
I could spend the next 10 minutes of the video complaining about Dog inconsistently snapping his neck to kill me in one hit, or lasers sniping me from off screen, or cosmic worms for existing, but considering the fight is so fundamentally different after 2.1, I don't think there's much point. I'd just be complaining about something that's already been fixed. The bottom line is that I died a lot, like second so far only to Ceaseless Void kinda numbers, but eventually I do manage to come out on top.
Really tempted to use that for damage, but I just really can't afford to when a single headshot could kill me. That would have killed me if not for the adrenaline, I think. Oh, we did it. Finally. I don't think that was as bad as Ceaseless. 180 for Ceaseless and 157 for Dog. Nice, nice. We can finally progress. Now we have to do all of the moon events and everything again, which is a little annoying.
The Essence Flare in this version absolutely shreds through the events while granting quite a bit of lifesteal for every enemy it slays. It looks like it got nerfed quite a bit in 2.1 with slightly lower damage and less piercing though, so I'm not quite sure if it still holds up. Thankfully though, since I don't need to craft armour or accessories, the event grind here isn't too bad. I just need enough materials for some Omega healing potions and a few new weapons to try out. Then, after spawning Yarn a few times to figure out where to put my arena borders, I settle in for some real attempts. It doesn't take long for me to realise that Yaren is a completely different beast to all the bosses that came before him, and I'll need every possible advantage if I have any hope of beating him. So I move my arena closer to spawn and extend all the way down to the surface level, placing as few platforms as possible and reserving them only for where I need to place buff stations. This is just the starting position however, and I have a long, long way to go. Right, 2 hits and I am dead, no matter what. I mean, if I have an adrenaline I wouldn't be, but
Chances of me getting adrenaline during this fight are very low.
It doesn't help that throughout all of these deaths I'm burning through thousands of bullets, and in order to get more of them I have to repeatedly refight the Devourer, which brings with it even more deaths. It takes a lot of work each time I need to replenish my ammo, but eventually I can get back to ever so slowly improving at Yaren.
So let's see if I can teleport into the middle here. Almost. Okay, that worked. Oh, I think my teleport was still on cooldown. Let's try Ark of the Ancients this time. See, that works. That works really well. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Oh, yeah, I need to get rid of the sniper rifle because I don't think that's going to work out well. And I think Ark of the Ancients in its place. Sniper rifle teleport seems much harder to pull off. Okay, I just need to get better at swapping in between them. Oh, I clicked the wrong button. I went to attack rather than parry. A large part of the annoyance with this fight is the fact that Yaren can't be harmed for a large amount of it. Oh, I'm really dead here. Yep. I'm gonna keep that for damage reduction. Didn't do much for damage reduction. Oh. Yeah, I think this might end up being the worst one of the run. I have a feeling. Yeah, I would say Dog was easier than this. I'm on attempt 126, and I think by attempt 126 on Dog, well, I've probably gotten quite close to the end of the second phase. Whereas I've not even seen the second phase of Yaren. Let's just try and outrun for the most part. So if I just got up to the top corner and then back down to the bottom. This might actually be a better way through phase 1. Runaway strat works. Never let anyone tell you runaway strat doesn't work. Okay, 55% for the next phase, right? Okay, phase 2. Oh, yeah, that was the closest by far.
The runaway strategy ends up working a whole lot better than parrying with the Ark of the Ancients or relocating normality with the sniper rifle, and once I've broken through to phase 2 for the first time I start getting there much more consistently, even making it all the way to 30% on one of the attempts.
I'm dead. Oh, even if I didn't get hit that second time. Okay. That was a really good attempt.
Soon after that I also incorporate the pogo stick into the world's most random hotbar and occasionally switch to it for some quick downward speed. I don't use it that often, especially at the start, but it can be a great get out of jail free card in certain situations where I just need to create some space between myself and Yaren. I think that may actually be the last change I make in terms of the items I use in this fight, but if you think that means we're anywhere near close to the end of this ordeal, then you're sorely mistaken.
Oh. Okay, that's a bit excessive. First phase, I really do not mind too much. It's just a bit of a chore because it takes like 3 minutes to get through it. Although, then I can just get in really bad position and die. Yeah, the annoying part is that it takes so long to get to the phase where I'm actually struggling. And also, even on the way there, one hit can ruin the entire attempt. From what I can tell, phase 2 should be easier in theory since he dashes less. Well, I've got the pattern for phase 1 down, I just don't have the pattern for phase 2 down. It's less about how often he dashes and more about the fact that I don't know what's coming next. Like, I know exactly what he's going to do at every point during phase 1, and what I should do to counter it. Like, I know to use a dash here, and then he's going to do his bullet hell, and I can just fly up and shoot down at him. And then he's going to dash at me a couple of times, and then do a fast dash. And then I need to counter the fast dash with the phosphorescent gauntlet again. Like that. And then he's going to bullet hell again, and then I'm going to fall, and just repeat the cycle. And then when he gets to 80% health, I know that he swaps the ordering of the fast dash and the bullet hell, and it adds in another bullet hell. So now he's going to fast dash at me now, and I need to be able to block it with the gauntlet, and then he's going to do a small bullet hell, and then he's going to dash at me and fast dash now, and then another big bullet hell. Yeah, I am at the stage where every hit in phase 1 is 100% my own fault, unless it's not, in which case I'm blaming the game for being unfair. Yeah, I think if I could have one accessory, it would either be the sponge or the amalgam. I think that would drastically increase my odds of winning this fight. Although anything would do. An Avenger emblem would probably make quite a sizable difference in how many attempts this takes. Late game summer accessory adding minions might do it. That's true, like Nucleogenesis with this would help a lot. Maybe Ambrosial Ampule, yeah. Literally anything would help so much. Oh, damn it. New personal best though, 26.2. 26.2 is the new PB. Oh, god damn it, I just couldn't get far enough to the side. That was the closest. Again. Okay, we're getting closer. Okay, let's repeat that, except for the last 3 seconds of the fight. Oh, oh my god. Oh. Oh god. Still on the bird yet. Probably going to be on the bird for the next 5 streams, I imagine. What attempt is he at? He is at attempt 244. And he's getting tired. He's getting real tired.
Fighting Yaren in this playthrough felt like a truly Sisyphean task. Fight after fight, death after death, I just kept pushing that boulder up the hill only to watch it roll back down.
Okay, sure.
Yet even now, over 12 hours into attempts, I still haven't seen the final phase once. And it's only then that things truly start to heat up.
Oh.
Even if I were to show just a single second from each attempt against Yaren, it would take up the next 10 minutes of the video. And with my absolutely abysmal damage per second, each fight takes a hell of a lot longer than a second. And that's not to mention my survivability. I mean, just look at how quickly I can go from full health with an adrenaline to dead.
Oh. And I'm dead.
I wish I could edit together a hopeful section of me getting a little better each attempt, then finally overcoming the odds while Roar of the Jungle Dragon bellows triumphantly in the background, but that wouldn't quite feel authentic to how things actually went. And besides, using Roar of the Jungle Dragon would get me a copyright strike. In truth, this isn't a story about hope or improvement. I'm well past the point where either of those can help me. This is about nothing but sheer determination. About the stubbornness to know that no matter how many times I die, Yaren can never truly defeat me. Because deep down, I know that the only thing that can stop me from winning this fight is myself.
Okay, yep, that was close. That's the second closest, I think. Oh, 17.5, new best. There we go, there we go. Okay, class surface. Oh, off screen. Oh, off screen dust. No. That was so close. 3.7. I know it's possible. I know it's possible. Please die, please die, please die. Ah, ground. Yep, yep. Oh, 2.4. If I just made that dash. Oh, that flare. I clicked. Oh. Screw it. Full damage, full damage, full damage. Just get him dead, get him dead, get him dead. Oh, way too early on the dash. Just slightly too late on that dash there. Oh, very lucky there. Oh, the knockback. 3.6. Oh. Heal. Yes! Yes! Oh my god. That is, without a doubt, the hardest boss fight I have ever done in Terraria. Oh, oh. Oh, it feels good to have that done. I never want to do that. Ever, ever again.
Did you do it?
I did it, yeah. Oh, how many attempts was that? 598. So under 600 at least. That's good. Oh, my heart was absolutely pounding at the end there. Right. What now, I guess? What have we got from the treasure bag? Oh, Wings of Rebirth. That's brilliant. We will sell them. Yaram's gift. Sell that. Sell that. Okay, that requires 5 minion slots, so I can't use that. Dragon fruit will be nice for the extra 25 health. I might just make that now, since I can. Okay, that is our final permanent upgrade of the entire playthrough. Right, let's go mine some auric ore then.
Before I do that, however, I swing by the Brimstone Crags biome to grab a summon called the Lilies of Finality, which spawns here after defeating Yaren. Then it's just a case of mining some auric ore and crafting a bunch of different weapons to test, none of which are particularly interesting outside of how much damage they deal. At this point there are just 2 bosses left standing in my way, the Exomechs and Supreme Calamitas, and I think it makes the most sense to tackle the Exos first. That's mainly because there's not much I can get from Calamitas to help with the Exos, but if I can defeat the Exos first and get my hands on Draydon's gamer chair, then the Calamitas fight should be significantly easier. Before I get into all that, however, I have one last arena to build, and this time it has to span the entire surface of the world, so I spend a lot of time removing all the sky islands and planetoids to make sure I don't hit my head on them. I add a platform, but this isn't really to stand on or run along since I'll be using the Shrimpy Truffle for most of the fight. It's a great way to keep track of my vertical position, however, and allows me to place buff stations across my entire arena. Although this far into the game, I'm not too sure how much 5 defense and 1.5 health per second are going to help me. After the 36 hours and almost 600 attempts I spent on Yaren, I went into this fight with unusually high spirits. I knew that if I could make it through the hell that was Yaren, then I could probably deal with whatever Draydon had to throw at me. The first few attempts seemed to justify this optimism, as within roughly an hour of starting I managed to defeat both Thanatos and Ares on different attempts, but die shortly after each time. The real challenge would be chaining these together on the same attempt and somehow managing to add Artemis and Apollo into the mix. And after 5 hours of death after death, I'm no closer to achieving it.
Oh, I was trying to swap to the pogo stick.
Thus begins the first of many arena expansions, in which I destroy a bunch of terrain under my platform so I can dodge below as well as above. Overall, this doesn't make too much of a difference, but at least it stops me getting stuck on blocks as much.
Yep, that's gonna happen.
A further 6 hours later comes the next expansion, this time carpet bombing almost a third of the world all the way down to the cavern layer. Turns out I massively overshot this however, as the shrimpy truffle loses its rain boost when I enter the underground layer, so I end up having to avoid a large part of the arena I just spent all that time making. The idea here is that if I can get Ares to 40% health at the right time, I can use all this extra space I've created to dodge his solo phase, which up to this point has been pretty inconsistent. The key for this phase is timing. I need to enter into it on the right stage of his cycle, otherwise all the different arms will stack their attacks at once and overwhelm me. I found that just after the Gauss nuke goes off seems to work well, allowing me to fly up to avoid the chain lightning, then quickly fall to avoid the downward laser. For the blender I don't quite have the manoeuvrability to just circle around it like you would with wings, so instead I swap to the Stygian shield to reposition myself. Then with the phosphorescent gauntlet I have enough speed to avoid the lasers while going to the left, up and to the right. Then the attack thankfully ends before I have to fall down too much, which is the slowest of all my directions. Without repositioning at the start of this attack I'd usually get hit right at the end or have to rely on the pogo stick for fast downward momentum, which is much harder to control. As long as I have a rage and adrenaline saved up at the start of the solo phase, I can usually get through Ares with just one blender attack, which leads me on to the next, much more difficult solo phase, Artemis and Apollo. The main issue here is that Artemis and Apollo are intended to be dodged with fast vertical speed, but my absolute maximum with the Shrimpy Truffle is 41 miles per hour. For context, the Wings of Rebirth that you'd usually have at this stage have a maximum vertical speed of 112, and even fledgling wings can get you up to 51, although admittedly not for long. I can go a little faster by using the Stygian Shield or Phosphorescent Gauntlet, but swapping to these absolutely destroys my DPS and drags out the phase for way too long. This leaves me having to put up with the Shrimpy Truffle and just hope that I can dodge the many projectiles that fill the screen, a strategy which seems to rely much more on luck than any kind of skill. Over 20 hours into fighting the Exomechs, I finally managed to take down both Ares and Artemis and Apollo on the same attempt, only for this to happen straight after. Die. Okay. Oh, I tried to teleport. God damn it. That is the best, by far, I think. That is the best attempt. While unfortunate, this was the confirmation I needed to know that I could defeat the Exomechs, as Thanatos' solo phase is relatively easy compared to the other two, provided I enter into it in a good position. Oh, there was just nothing I could do there. Ah! I continue trying for another hour before deciding to expand my arena one last time to give me a little more breathing room. Then, less than half an hour later, I enter into his final phase once again. Come on. Okay, next laser phase, I think it is in. Oh, not if he does that. No! Oh, why did he spin again? Oh, Thanatos, why? You're not even the one I'm worried about. That's on me. Yeah, I'm doing much better than the last few days. All about consistency, and I'm getting more consistent. I think the final fight I'm going to have like 2 hits. It could be a no hit for all I know. Oh, Right, this is my last attempt for now, and then I'm going to take a bit of a break, have some lunch, and hopefully come back a bit refreshed. No, 0.4, 9,000 health. I really thought I'd get that done before the laser.
Okay, good one to end on though. That attempt was going pretty well. Okay, I am back. Had a nice little break, had some food, and now it's time to kill the exomex. We are 132 hours in, and I just really hope that I can get this done in less than 150. Is anything other than melee just bad for difficult runs? It depends on where the difficulty is coming from. In a run like this, since I don't have any armor or accessories for summon slots or mana usage or stealth, it's harder for those classes to be decent compared to melee and ranged. Oh, why did I slow down? What? Yeah, I'm dealing decent damage. Got no problems with my damage at this point. I mean, more damage would be nice, of course, but my damage isn't bad. Not at all. .8. Overall, I'm feeling much better about this than Yaren. This feels like I die when I make a mistake. Everything here is dodgeable, just with enough luck and skill, I guess, even if I may not have that skill. Oh, right, let's try and relax a little. Wow. Come on, die. Please. Oh, he's so close. My summons might be able to kill him. Oh, yes, they did. Yes. Thank you, summons. Whoa. We did it. Second last boss defeated. One more to go. Oh. Right, Spine of Thanatos, that's probably the most important one. Exobox though, that's the main one, that's big. Right, that wasn't many attempts after I came back, to be honest. I left on 385, that was 4 attempts later. Oh, I can relax. Let's sell you Draydon's Heart, we don't need that. Is there anything worth making with Miracle Matter? Supernova and Exoblade, okay.
Before I even try Supreme Calamitas, I go on one last wild goose chase to gather the many items required for Miracle Matter weapons, which gave me a second to slow down and consider just how far I'd come without a single piece of equipment. Back when I started this challenge, I had no idea just how difficult it would be, and for a while I wasn't even sure if I'd be able to finish it. But now that there's just one boss left, and with everything I've learned throughout it, there's not a single doubt in my mind that I'll make it through.
No Pearl Shards. Damn, do I really have to fight Desert Scourge again? $1,200 money? Pretty good amount of money. I could probably go take down Ceaseless Void now. Let's see how much easier he is. Probably not that much easier, to be honest. Okay, you're not easy. Okay, this is... well, it depends if it crits or not. I'd say on average 15k. This is probably on average 20k, so this is really good so far. This is 16k, so decent. It's full homing, but so is Spine of Thanatos. I think that's worse. Celestis seems worse than everything. I think Celestis is probably worst of all. Celestis is only for the hearts. Okay. So Spine of Thanatos for that, and then Celestis for the hearts. Hopefully 14 will be enough. Probably won't be.
For once, mobility wasn't my main issue in this playthrough. The entire Calamitas fight takes place in a pretty small arena, so running away isn't really an option. Regardless, the Exobox has potentially the best manoeuvrability of any item in the game, and is usually my preferred choice for this fight when it comes to movement. My damage is also fine for the most part. The main issue here is my survivability. In a normal playthrough at this point, I'd probably have well over 200 defense with the Amalgam for a dodge, the Sponge acting as an overshield, the Nebulous Core for a revive, the Radiance for general regen, and Draydon's Heart for quick health boosts. Without any of these, every hit I take while not at full health has the potential to end an attempt. It's not quite no-hit territory, but I doubt I'd survive more than 3 or 4 hits across an entire fight. Like I said, my mobility is actually on tier however, so just don't get hit is surprisingly sage and actionable advice. There's no exploiting the boss's AI or having to rely on items like the Phosphorescent Gauntlet and Stygian Shields to get through this. I really do just have to get good at the fight.
Right on the transition. I'm quite happy with the strategy we've got at the moment. I think after a few dozen attempts, one of them has to be successful. Okay, yep, dash straight into me.
I could show you the next 7 hours of me failing to defeat Escal, but at the end of the day I'm not doing anything particularly different between each attempt. Some just so happen to be better than others. I know the fight reasonably well from previous playthroughs, so there's not much of a learning curve. Sure, my attempts on average get better the more practice I get, but the chances of me winning any particular one don't change all that much between the first attempt and the last. So instead, let's fast forward past the next 200 attempts to the only one that really matters.
Oh, I got lucky there. Melt through Cataclysm, and hopefully try and melt through you as well. Nope, you're just going to melt through me instead. Harps, give me harps, or I will die. Right. Final bullet hell. I'd rather go into the vortex than get hit by these. I need to remember that. This might be it. I think this might be it. It's it. Yes! We have done it! I have beaten Calamity without accessories or armor. Honestly, Supreme Calamitas was not too bad. That could have been so much worse. That could have been like 500 attempts. I mean, Yaren was the worst by far. How many attempts was it? 246, so under 250 even. But yeah, the definite hardest boss was Yaren at 598 attempts. And then maybe Exomix was the next one at 389. And then probably Calamitas, and then Devourer of Gods, and then Ceaseless Void. And then I think before Ceaseless, the hardest one was still Skeletron Prime. Check total run deaths. Yes, what is it? 2,267. That's the longest playthrough I have ever done. How many hours was it by the end? 140. Yeah, the second longest run on T-Mod Loader, at least, is Calamity 1 block, which is 95 hours. I did not think you could pull it off when you first asked me about this. Well, thank you for the vote of no confidence. Yeah, hopefully this makes me better at normal playthroughs, but we'll see in the next one. I think what it has done is made me more confident that even if I'm doing a very challenging playthrough, if I'm just persistent enough, I should be able to get through it. Yeah, thank you all for watching. I am going to stop it there and get to editing, but yeah, I'll see you guys later. Thank you. Bye bye.